Hey guys, I want to talk to you about how to amend a tax return for corrections. I have been a tax strategist for a very long time, and a lot of you have been filing taxes for a very long time. Over the years, when you file tax returns, mistakes happen. It could be a mistake where you forgot to actually report something on your tax return. It could have been a mistake where a tax professional didn't do something correct on your tax return. Or it could be just lack of knowledge happened because maybe as you went through the years, you realized that there was something else that you could have done on your tax return differently. I want to educate you today on what you can do to fix errors on your tax return or change things. And that's called an amended tax return. I want to give you 3 things that you are going to look out for. Number 1, if you decide to amend your tax return, you need to understand that IRS or your state revenue department is going to scrutinize an amended return pretty heavy. Does that mean you shouldn't amend your return? Absolutely not. It does not mean that. It means that if you're going to file an amended return, we want to make sure that that information is accurate. That brings me to number 2. The second thing you want to look at before amending a return is what is going to be the result of the amended return. Are you amending to get an additional refund? Are you amending to correct something that's going to be a layup for the future that you know you need to do? We want to make sure that the reason you're amending is going to outweigh the scrutiny of amending that tax return. It's very important that you analyze that situation. Number 3, when you are amending a tax return and you are going to get a refund, it's so important to have all the documentation that goes with that amendment. Let me give you an example. Let's say that I didn't realize that I can take certain business write-offs. Perhaps I forgot to take my mileage. Perhaps I forgot to take my auto supplies or my office supplies, whatever it may be. When you are amending a return, you want to make sure you have the ample documentation. You want to make sure you have your mileage logs. You want to make sure you have your office supply receipts, the appropriate documentation. Why do I say that? I say that because IRS has the right to audit a claim for refund. An amended tax return is a claim for refund, where you're sending in a claim to IRS to actually get a refund, and they can audit a claim for refund. The way you would do that is send in Form 1040X with the corrected return and also the original return that you filed. And then the documentation should be attached. Why do you want to attach the documentation? Because you want to show IRS, if you have a question, here's my answer. That is going to get your claim for refund processed quicker than if you do not do that. So the key takeaway here is make sure that you realize that a return can be changed or amended, that when you do that, IRS has a right to look at it and audit it. And number 3, you want to make sure the documentation is very tight. People make mistakes, things happen. IRS knows that people amend their returns all the time. You're going to use Form 1040X, and potentially you're going to use that same form with an X with your local state. For example, the state of California would be a 540X. Some states don't have an amended form. You just would file the same tax return, but you would write amended at the top of the form. Expect for that amended tax return to take a good 6 to 8 weeks to process. If you need more questions answered or have any comments about amending your return, please click on the link or comment below so that I can answer your questions.